So let's start with the Dolphins. And Tua Tagovailoa agreed to a 4-year, $212.4 million contract extension. Jaevon, what say you?
We were kind of expecting what Tua would get. I think I said on previous podcasts. Tua is kind of where I think Purdy and the Niners are going to base it off of. Like, what do we feel like Tua is going to get? I think it was somewhere around 52 a year. I'm just glad Tua didn't reset the market. I still think like these like Trevor Lawrence is making 55. I think that's kind of outrageous. But the Jags are kind of they're handcuffed to a pole. If they don't re-sign Trevor Lawrence, what are they without him? They're a nothing franchise, and I feel like stability matters to a lot of GMs and owners. They like their jobs. Well, obviously the owner um, is the overseer, but GMs would rather be relevant than dead in the water. That means because they wouldn't have a job to go back to. So with this Tua signing, um, how good are the Dolphins? I mean, we saw Tua in the playoffs this last year in inclement weather. He's not really the best quarterback in those positions. Can you win a playoff game with Tua? Perhaps. Can you win a division with Tua? Maybe. I'm not sure. Um, but the Dolphins, they win. They beat up on bad teams, and I feel like that's half the battle. And if you win a couple of you know games that are 50-50 for you, you can consistently get to the playoffs. So I think Tua. I mean, hey, the Dolphins are kind of like I feel like they're a middle of the pack team. They have two really, really, really great receivers. I think they have a good. Actually, I think they have a really good offensive play caller in Mike McDaniel. We'll see how good their defense will be this year, but I mean, hey, yippee, Tua signed another deal. I don't really know what to think about it, just because of I get where the market is, but it's like, is he? You got to give him 50 plus million. I'm not sure, but I mean, the market is the market, so we'll see where that stands. But hey, yeah. So now the Niners are going to be like, all right, well, Tua just got this, and Trevor Lawrence just got this, so that's the starting point. So yeah.
Kevin, back in the Alabama days, Tua Tagovailoa took Jalen Hurts' job. Now it seems like Jalen Hurts has had a better NFL career to this point with less time. What do you think about this contract extension?
I mean, like Toddy said, something that has to get done. Everyone wants to say don't pay the quarterback all that money, but then you have to look at the other side of the coin and what else is out there. You don't want to be bad enough to get a top pick, and you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who you just paid all this money to, and you have Mike McDaniels, who's a hell of a play caller, one of the top in the league. So you have to give him an adequate thrower of the ball. So Tua Tagovailoa, like I mentioned, has one of the best, top two receivers in the NFL, and Tyreek Hill. Almost had 2,000 yards last year. Only played 16 games, and finished with almost 1,800 yards. So Tyreek Hill is the real deal. It came out today that he was the only receiver that has 99 overall in this upcoming Madden video game. You see the numbers, and the first thing that you think of this is what happened in the playoffs. They were 1-6 this season against teams that ended up in the playoffs. The one team that they beat were the Dallas Cowgirls. So what does that really say? You're paying him to beat up on the Jets, beat up on all these non-playoff teams, the Jaguars, the Panthers. Is that what you're going to pay annually $53.1 million for? He's now the third highest paid quarterback behind Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. Over that stretch of them only going 1-6 first playoff teams, he had 7 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Tua is not paid to be the playmaker. He's paid to sit there and not fuck up. I've seen a lot of other quarterbacks in Hard Knocks. I've never seen any of them with a camera on their helmet, so the coach can exactly see what the hell you saw before you threw what you threw. Like Toddy said, can Tua win you a playoff game? I mean, maybe. $53.1 million, like how you said, the market is the market. He's making more than two-time MVP and Lamar Jackson. He's making more than a guy who's been to a Super Bowl. And Jalen Hurts, he's making more money than a two-time Super Bowl champion, Patrick Mahomes. So when you look at the money, Shaun's really a good one to say this. The market is the market. And that's just what you have to pay. You know, no matter how bad your quarterback is, when it's their time to come up to be paid, that's what you have to pay. The line in the sand is, what, 52 mil?
Well, the thing is about this is that, like, as we've said countless times, and we don't need to belabor the point, but like basically if you have a serviceable quarterback or you don't have an immediate replacement, then you have to pay him. And it's interesting because Patrick Mahomes, and being the great politician and leader of the NFL that he is, he said this past week when he was asked, like, do you think you're underpaid now? Because if you look at it, Patrick Mahomes is he in the top 10 anymore?
It was like 8th or something like that. Or no, probably not anymore.
I think
exactly.
He's 10. I think it's exactly 10. So, I can look it up.
Exactly. So he's been bumped down to like barely even being in the top 10. And so he's supporting his peers by saying, no, it's good. They need to get paid, yada, yada, yada. But like, it's no longer, because that's the thing too. Spoiler alert. Later on in the podcast, we're going to talk about the NFL 100 through 31. We're each going to give our top 10 players list. And as I was compiling that list, I was thinking about so many guys. And when you look at the guys who get paid at every other position except for quarterback, you have to be in the top 5, bare minimum, top 10 at your position to get that kind of money. But if you're a quarterback, you just got to be one of 32, basically. If you're one of 32, then you can get paid. But if you're a wide receiver, I'm not even going to talk about running backs, but if you're a wide receiver, tight end, what have you, then you got to be in the top 10 minimum, top 5 of your class. And so this was kind of just a thing that the Dolphins had to do, as has already been said. Kevin, I know you looked it up. Is he actually number 10 or?
He's number 11 now, $45 million a year.
So there you go. Not even the spoiler alert. The best player in the NFL is not even a top 10 paid quarterback. Absolutely insane. But I guess
that's what Brady used to do. He said he wasn't. I don't think he was ever the highest paid quarterback.
He was. Wasn't he? Wasn't he when he signed the 10-year, $450 million deal?
No, he said Tom Brady, not Patrick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took off my headphones for a second. I apologize, Tony.
Yeah, Brady did. I think he did the exact same thing. So I feel like Mahomes, he gets it. He's like, you need other guys to help you win.
Yeah.
So
it's a fair point. And so even though this next topic is basically the same exact discussion, I do think that it's a little different because even though Tua Tagovailoa has dealt with injuries in his career and he hasn't even won a playoff game yet in his career, I will say that we have seen a much, much, much larger sample size from Tua than we have from the next guy.